Hey yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Tylarious, aka Ty Killington. Yeah, man. All right. So this is the video that I've been talking about for a long time. All right. I'm finally going to be making a honest, unbiased review on Red Dead Redemption 2 story. Um, you know, there are going to be spoilers. Okay, let me just get out of the way now. Okay, there are, but it's been over 2 weeks now. So, and you can't make a authentic review without talking about what happens in the game from start to finish. Okay, so we'll be talking about the pros and cons and a few other things as well. And once again, these are my opinions, but I do think that I have a good idea of how these things kind of roll out and go down. So let's talk about it, right? So first of all, let's just go over the pros here. Off the top of my list, one of the best things, obviously, is going to be the graphics of the game. Okay, the graphics are second to none. Rockstar did a great job with it. The lighting is where it really, plays a factor in the quality of graphics. If you look at the characters and like some of the foliage and things like that, it's not too different from, say, GTA. Okay, and listen, you're going to hear a lot of comparisons with GTA, but you have to remember, man, this is the only other Rockstar game that we really have to compare to Red Dead. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's apples and oranges. It's really not, though. These are very similar games in the terms of how they do this. So you have to understand and plus we're talking about a game that took 8 years to come out. So GTA and maybe GTA 4 are really the only games that a whole generation have to base this off of. Okay, I've been playing Rockstar games since they were only on PC. I'm not even sure if they were called Rockstar back then. But I'm an old dude, right? I'm an old ass gamer. All right, I'm an OG. So keep that in mind, okay? But what they did with the lighting is unbelievable, and some of the textures and the reflections and things like that. You have working mirrors in Red Dead Redemption 2, and in GTA didn't have that. So a lot of the movements are much more fluid and things like that. It's just a more polished. I mean, look at the detail inside here, right? It's just ridiculous. So the graphics, of course, the fighting is excellent in this game. The way you fight with people it's really fluid. It's very smooth. I love that. I like the gore. You'll see some images and some screenshots I'll put out here. It talks about or it shows some of the gore. You're blowing people's heads off. You're blowing limbs off. A shotgun blast to the leg will blow a leg off, and that's authentic. It adds to the grit of the game. And I really do appreciate that. It reminds me of GTA 3 when you could pop people's heads off in that game and it caused an outroar, right? People were freaking out. They took it to the government, you know what I mean? Nowadays it's like nothing, right? The looting, I do like the looting. I do think it's a little cumbersome, having to hold down square instead of just tapping it. That does kind of get a little annoying, but the looting is cool. The gold, the treasures, you know what I mean? The rare weapons, the Easter eggs, ghost trains, the gold bars. All that is really fun. It's not really part of the story, though, which we'll talk about that. It's more of the free roam and the open world kind of thing. So I really do like that. The mini games like poker and blackjack, some of the challenges that you have to do. But remember, these aren't part of the story. There was a few maybe kind of part of the story, but not really. You know what I mean? It's more, just the open world stuff, the hunting and things like that. The hunting is it gets kind of just routine, though. When you go fishing, you just drop a bait in there. Almost every time you pop in your cast or you put your bait in there, it's like, you get a fish. It seems so simple. It's kind of, and the easiness of it makes it a little boring. When you go hunting, you can walk right up on deer and stuff like that. It's very hard. If anyone's ever hunted, that's really not the case. You can't get within like 20 feet of a deer. It's just not, and this is so abundant. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, I don't know. But the rare animals and things like that, that's pretty cool. So let me kind of talk about some of the cons and negatives of this game. It kind of really ruined the story for me here. The beginning, it was kind of like a roller coaster with me, right? At the very beginning, it was like, oh my God, wow, crazy, right? And then it gets into it, and you start to kind of see the repetitiveness. A lot of people were complaining, myself including, the continuous and monotonous spamming of X to ride your horses, and your horse getting gassed out on you so frequently, and you're having to build up its stamina. And even then, it didn't even do that much. And it was just so annoying. That was so annoying. You had fast travel that was unlocked, but fast travel only took you to a city. It didn't take you to your waypoint, and unless you were at your camp, I mean, it doesn't take you back to your camp, right? And if you have a bounty on you, you can't use a stagecoach or a train. You have to pay off your bounty. And it's very easy to rack up several $100s in bounties. And so that was really, really annoying. And people were like, Ty, just go into cinematic mode, and all you have to do is hold X down. I'm like, okay, I did that several times, but then it doubles the amount of time because you can't go at the max speed. So, I mean, do you remember the story where, the the GameSpot kids or whatever were falling asleep? I guarantee you that's where it was. They're just holding X. They're just sitting there. And sometimes with fast travel, it took you, 8 minutes to get to a spot. Now when you're doing that, it doubles that, This scene that we're seeing right here really bugged me. This whole chapter 5, was just completely unneeded. It was so out of place. They have to escape onto a boat, go to a tropic island. It's a hostile island. Dutch is trying to find a way to get somewhere to rescue some people. He says he paid off this lady with his last bit of gold, right? They walk through a tunnel, which could have easily been done by themselves, and then he murders her at the end, and doesn't even take that gold back. Like, that's the kind of writing I'm talking about. It was so sloppy. They're just trying to paint Dutch out as like a psychopath, which you already would have known. And let's get to that. It was so choppy. Like, you just automatically find people here and there popping up. We just find Javier. These guys are hanging other people, but yet they just kind of toy with Javier. They would have killed him already. You're on some castle. You're fighting off another ship from Cuba. Like, it's just so choppy and out of place. Nobody. Let's talk about this whole structure of the gang here. Nobody would have followed Arthur. Nobody would have followed Dutch. In a real gang environment, Dutch would have been overthrown in no time. Bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And the game, after Chapter 3, it got so repetitive. It was, Dutch has got a plan. One more job. One more, right? One more. It goes bad. Shootout. Somebody dies. One more job. One more job. We need one more. Bad thing happens. Shootout. Blah, 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 right? And it's just the same. It became repetitive. It was the same thing over and over. You get introduced to a new bad guy, right? And you end up killing him towards the end. It was a very linear thing. It was, the Braithwaites. It was the Pinkertons. It was the Benito, the Italian guy that was help in Saint Denis, and you mow down all their bodyguards, and you go to them and you kill them, and they're trying to make Dutch out to be this bad guy, but you can kind of already tell that. You already get that. And who in their right mind would have continuously followed this guy over and over, making bad? It's just so weak, the story. So many things were just left out. And like I said, it became repetitive. At the beginning, it started out with, the hardships were real. You kind of got an idea for it. And throughout this story, the amount of AGL, artificial game lengthener, that is a real thing. That's where games add stuff into the game. And it's not just cutscenes, right? Some of the cutscenes were very, very nice. I enjoyed those. Like the killing and stuff like that, where you get like that slow-mo black and white. That was dope. I'm talking about the forced, having to travel super slow while you guys have some useless dialogue, adding missions in that had nothing to do with the game. A whole chapter where it just meant nothing it was just ridiculous. There was so much artificial game lengthener. And Rockstar was trying to get you to become attached to the story, but it was so choppy. It would jump around this and that. And this is one thing that I hated as well. When you're on, say you're driving somewhere, like getting this girl right here. I mean, it was so it was not needed at all. Like, they didn't even have to have. You could just go and clear that cave out. Yet we have another 15 minutes worth of stuff that we have to do to get this girl back. I mean, I don't know. It was just, it was so forced, and it was just very, very lazily written. And then this girl that was the lover of Dutch, which really only had a few lines where she was trying to talk to Dutch, ends up being the snitch, and this is where all the issues were coming from or whatever. But then later on, you find out that it's Micah. Micah was the one working with the Pinkertons. So it's like, well, what are you talking? I mean, it just made no sense. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean? And there was some. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy this game. Let me say that I enjoyed the game, but I just cannot overlook all the dumb things that were involved with this. Um, they make Arthur come down with tuberculosis, right? If you remember, he has to go get some people owe money to Strauss or the gang, and Arthur goes to that farmer that broke up the fight between him and Tommy, and he's at his farm and he coughs up blood and it gets onto Arthur, right? And he gets tuberculosis from that. And as soon as I saw that happen, as soon as that guy coughed on him, I was like, you know what? Something's probably going to happen from this. I forgot about it because the damn story is so long. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's where he got it from. So it was just so predictable. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, it was choppy. It was forced. Let's talk about the acting. The acting of Dutch and John Marston, I thought, was very, very bad. It was not believable. It's almost like you could just tell they were just reading lines off of a paper. There was really no emotion to it. I did not like how the acting with now Arthur, who the actor with Arthur was great. Sadie, Lenny, I loved the character of Charles. These guys, you kind of developed a little bit of a sense of realness to them. You know what I mean? With a game that they said was 60 hours long, which is every bit of it, you have very little time to really build a bond with these characters. It forces it on you, and it's ridiculous. Honestly, I had more of a bond with my horse than I did with Arthur or some of the other characters there. You know what I mean? It was so stupid, but I felt more like a damn when my horse died than I did when Arthur, and there's multiple endings with Arthur, which is kind of, it's based on your honor system, but to get any kind of money in the game, unless you're glitching it, which there's glitches out immediately, you kind of have to be the bad guy, and that messes up your honor, you know what I mean? So, and then once, Arthur is talking to Micah about, him being a snitch, you have to remember, Arthur was talking about how it was him, Dutch, and Hosea from the very, very get-go, right? But then Dutch just, follows Micah instead. It's so weak. It's like they force this narrative, and they, John comes back after being shot. And, Dutch has tried to kill John like twice now. You see in another scene, Dutch leaves Arthur for dead. So how do you let this guy keep going on? Like, the problem is Dutch. It's really, Micah is a problem as well, but Dutch is really the main bad guy here. And at the end, it's so unsatisfying how they did this. All right. Spamming X, the bounty system in this game. I mean, just for running into somebody, you get a bounty on you. It's so easy for that to happen. That's another con, I thought. It's so easy to alert the police because of that, and then it takes forever to get them off you. The micromanagement, I'm pleased they did find a decent balance to the micromanagement, but it was still annoying. As soon as you would clean your guns, after the very first use, they drop their stats. That's not how it works, okay? I've shot guns before in real life. It takes hundreds, and of course you want to clean your gun after every single use, but it does not deteriorate your stats like that, your accuracy, the speed, after the first round of use. You can go hundreds and hundreds of rounds before you truly do need to clean the gun before you run into any kind of situations with jamming and things like that. So, that was that right there. Overall, like I said, the game was just too long. The artificial game lengthening, all the things that added up, that was just, and this is one of the 4 ways. I think there's 4 ways that Arthur can die. He dies no matter what. He dies like on the hillside by himself. He gets shot by Micah, gets stabbed by Micah. I'm not sure the other way. Maybe it's just 3. But like in this scene right here, Arthur goes back to get the money. It was 40. This is the money that Dutch was saving of the whole group. And Dutch every time was complaining about they just didn't have enough money. You pick up $42,000. How is that not enough money to uproot your group and then move out somewhere else? And that time, that was plenty of money to do that. They wanted to go to Tahiti, right? So after Arthur dies, you move on to John. So you take over as John for the game. And these are called epilogues. They're not chapters. And this is really what pissed me off. It pissed me off a lot right here. These epilogues, I guess it helps build up the prequel for Red Dead 1 or whatever, but it didn't really need to be like this. John is under a different name. Even though it's years down the road, John is using a different name, right? He goes to some farm looking for work. You're milking cows. You're shoveling shit. So much artificial game lengthener. It's just, Jack is, grown up a little bit now. It's so unnecessary. None of this, this did not need to be any part of it didn't have to be the epilogue, or if it did, we're talking maybe 20 minutes tops, because this whole thing really only builds up to just a couple of missions at the end. It's all, as soon as it starts, you're thinking, okay, what about Micah? What about Dutch? You spend like 15 minutes helping to break this horse and walking around talking with this guy. The rancher's wife hits on John, like tries to say, "Why don't you come and hang out with me?" And inside, it was just stupid shit, man. You're building fences, and it's not even like it's a hard task. You're just like tapping X. You know what I mean? It's not like there's any kind of skill to it. You have to rustle a bull. It's just dumb stuff. It has nothing to do. Sorry, my phone's going off here. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. And then, of course, some bad guy ranchers come over here, and their neighbors, they live like literally right down the road from you. Okay, some bad guy ranchers come in, and John, everyone is kind of suspicious he's really not a rancher, because obviously he's not. And so John ends up being John, right? And then they go to the other rancher's place. You shoot the place up, and isn't this familiar? So familiar, right? You get a bad guy, you go shoot the place up, you take him out. It's just such a linear and lazy storyline. There's parts of it, though, that I liked. Like, this is badass right here, This guy's talking shit about his wife, and John blows his head off. But where's the retaliation? Where's the bounty from this, right? So there's little things that were kind of just left out. So I thought that was dope. You don't have a choice to be the good guy in this, but there's, I don't know. There's no really honor effect on that. Now we go and we're getting a loan to buy a ranch, right? His wife leaves him. It's like, God, this is so much. It's like a soap opera drama. And we're talking, these are 2 epilogues that take up several hours, all for 10 minutes worth of mission. You run into Uncle, right? You find him. He comes back to the place that you just bought. You took out a loan, right? You run into Sadie. She's a bounty hunter now. You find Charles. He's throwing fights and shit like that to make money. And so these guys become like part of your little posse or whatever. Of course, Sadie is probably one of my favorite side, if not my favorite side character, or character in general overall. She's just a badass. Parts like this I love, but they're cutscenes. You don't actually get to do it. You're just watching it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a bummer. And I would have liked to just shove that knife in his hand myself, but you just get to see it happen. Now he goes and he buys a prefabricated house. I'm like, good God, can we get on with it already? This is what I'm talking about. So much just drawn out, unnecessary. And then you're going down, you get ambushed. Now the farmer dude, the bad guy farmer guy is out of the way. There's these like skinners or whatever that, it's like, what? Really? Like, I thought this was the age of there's no more of these guys around. These are like bad guy Indians and this and that. I don't know. Then you start building the house up. It's just, and this is actual like footage. I don't know. It's so corny and cheesy. This is what I'm talking about. All throughout the game, there was stuff like this that had nothing to do with the game. It was poor character building. It just didn't build them up that much. There were moments, though. There are moments where it does shine. And that's why it kind of pisses me off, because it was there. I'm like, you guys knew what you were doing for the first couple of chapters. It was great. You had the hardships. But then it just was the same thing over and over again. And every time you do a mission, you're having to spend 5 to 10 minutes riding a horse. You're taking pictures with your girl. You go take her to a movie she wants to spend. You had an awkward conversation with your kid. He's like a nerd, and Jack or John is not a nerd, and Jack is a nerd. So it was just kind of a weird thing. I thought they were doing good. Like, okay, they're building up, the love that him and Abigail have, and then somehow Abigail's going to die. That didn't happen. You're just taking her out like on a honeymoon date. Finally, Sadie gets a word on where Mike is at. They find him. You end out where you start, back in the snow. And then Mike is out here, has him. First of all, Sadie could have killed Micah. I didn't show that. But she had him dead to rights and didn't kill him because she was wounded. Let Michael get back. Dutch pops out. Here he is. You're going back and forth. Dutch has been riding with Micah for years now, right? They got all this gold stashed up. Still didn't leave for some reason. They had all this gold, but didn't leave. They just stayed there, waiting for you to come get them, I guess. So dumb. You go through all of his guys, and then Dutch out of nowhere just kills Micah. Like, why didn't you do this in the first place, Dutch? Right? And then after Dutch tries to kill John twice in the game, tries to kill Arthur, John just says, okay, thanks. You know what I mean? Thanks. You shoot Micah in the head. And look at this. He's got a head wound, right? Walks around and just shrugs his shoulders. That's kind of how I felt about the whole game. Like, 60 hours gone. Yeah, whatever. John says, thanks, Dutch. Appreciate that. Dutch is the bad guy. You should have killed him next. Like, what are you doing? Dutch caused all this. Dutch just walks away, leaves all that money he's been fighting for this whole time, destroyed his crew for all this shit that he was fighting for. And that's... What? That's it? Dutch is the real bad guy here. You should have killed Micah and Dutch. Like, it's just so unsatisfying. You come in here, you get the money, and all this money, right? You're talking about, Arthur had 42 grand of the, when he went back to get that money that Dutch had stashed, that was 42,000. That was enough to move these guys out. You got to think that this amount was about 60 grand, and they split it amongst Charles, Sadie, and John, right? So John ends up, the game is over, it goes through the credits, and then you start out and then now you're able to play as John. No more Arthur. I don't want to play as John. I want to play as Arthur. There's not even a chance to play as Arthur unless you have a previous save. You have to have a separate save to where you can load that back up and play as Arthur. Like in GTA, when if you killed Trevor, after the story mode is over, you could still play as Trevor, right? I mean, I kept Trevor alive. I didn't kill anybody off. That's what everybody told me, though, is that you could still play as all three of the characters. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just going off what people told me. But, so you come back, and then now you're playing as John, and then that's the open world. And, like, that's not, I wanted to play. Arthur was my, that's my dude that I want to, jam out with and hang. You barely even got to hang out with John. But I get it, you know what I mean? They're trying to do this is a prequel, but I don't know, man. So, like I said, the game is good. Should you buy it? Yes, absolutely. Is it worth buying like the unlimited ultimate? No, don't. Save your money. Just get the $60 version and you'll be fine. If we're rating the story mode out of 100, I have to give it a solid, probably an 80. Okay, I can't overlook the quality of graphics, the cool things that the NPC world does. But that's not the story. That's the free world, right? Now, a lot of that takes place during the free or the story, but it's not really part of it. It's just, that's just kind of like the background. But if you're out in free mode, just roaming around, there's a lot of cool stuff. I can't overlook that. That's a beautiful part of the game. But on the flex side, I can't overlook the sloppy writing. It seemed like it was not only rushed in certain times that didn't need to be, it was drawn out in times where it didn't need to be drawn out. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I had like 90 minutes worth of video. I had to cut all this down to, under 30 minutes, so you guys would actually watch this and get an idea of what I'm talking about here. But yeah, it was just very, very choppy. Like I said, the biggest problem was the artificial game lengthener, having to be forced to, you know, walk around with people and do things that didn't need to be done, missions that had nothing to do with it. The repetitive nature, the whole forced narrative that you're just following Dutch blindly, and that's not how it goes. People keep making mistakes, you don't follow them. Like that's just it. It didn't make any sense. Killing that lady after giving her the last gold bar but not taking it back. Like who does it? It just doesn't. It's just poor writing. You know what I mean? They could have done a lot better. But there was really good parts to this game. Very, very. I don't want you guys to think I'm bashing this game. I'm not. Because it is such a good game, I am extra critical on it. Because there was parts of this game that were just awesome. And I'm like, that's what I was saying. Man, you did it right for some of this stuff. Why wasn't it consistent? It just wasn't a consistent flow. And just the overusage, the way the fast travel was made was ridiculous. It was not effective. It should be a way to fast travel to your waypoint. You don't need to have to run. During the epilogues, there was a lot of times where, you would start a mission and you didn't have to ride your horse there. Like it would take you there. I'm like, where is that? Where was that during the whole entire game? But then the other parts in the epilogue, you had to ride your. It just didn't make any sense. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing half? It was just dumb. I don't know. Yeah, should you get the game? Yes. Should you pay anything extra than the base price? No. Out of 100, I give it a solid 8. Will this win Game of the Year? Probably, because of all the hype. Could it have been better? Oh my God, way better. Yeah, so many things that they could have done better with this, but there were so many things that they did that were good. All right, so I don't want you guys, once again, I apologize for the spoilers, but it's been over 2 weeks now. Okay, I'm sorry. I work full time. I still had time to finish this game. And once again, you can't make a proper review without talking about it and showing some things in this game. I wanted to show you cool parts, and I wanted to show you, there's one time where I sped the game up where it took me 8 minutes to ride my horse from the starting point of a mission to where it actually kicked off. 8 minutes of just spamming X, And like I said, they're like, Ty, some people are like, dude, just hold down the touchpad and you'll go to interaction, or you'll go to a cinematic mode and it's so you don't have to spam X. I'm like, yeah, but then it takes double the amount of time. What's the point in that? It's stupid. Let me get it over with. You know what I mean? This is dumb. So just be aware of that. The story, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. I know. So many people out here are sick of GTA, and they want this to be so much better. And it is a great game. It is. And I understand you're tired of one game that, you're forced to play all the time, because that's what everybody wants to see. But I have to call it where I see it. I have to call it how I see it. You know what I mean? And that's what this video is all about. I'm being truthful. I'm being honest, unbiased. So I'm giving credit where credit's due, and I'm calling out the bad where it needs to be called out at. So that's that. Now, listen, online has not yet dropped. The online portion of this game will really make or break this game. We're going to see a lot when online drops. We're really going to find out what this game is all about, because that's what it is now. Story modes are, I think, needed for all games, but online is where it really is at. That's really where a game will succeed now in our genre, in our era of gaming. Okay, there's no way you can tell me any different. That is facts. That's not opinion. That is fact right there. Online is where the game is made or is where the game is made, or is where it is broken. All right, so we'll have to see. It comes out at the end of November, so whatever a Tuesday is, I guess, at the end of November, or whatever day, I don't know. But that's when the game will be coming out, which I think is smart because they get past Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But that's when online will be coming out, so that'll really be interesting. I think online will be good. I'm worried about the tryhards, though, coming over from GTA, because it'll be pretty easy to be a tryhard. So there's going to be money glitches out immediately, because we saw how quick they came during the story mode, and that's going to be an issue as well. So, and we know when you have limitless money, there's no need to play the game. So all you do is just go grief people, because you're just a chubby cheek, fat fingered little peasant and that's what happens. So yeah, enjoy that. But I think it'll be fun. I do. I think it'll be cool with the online mode. Will it be something that is going to take over for online? I don't think it will. I think it'll be fun for a while, but I think other games will be coming out that will kind of take away from that. And of course, I'm already hearing rumblings of it. GTA 6, people are already like, okay, Red Dead's cool, but we want a new GTA now. So there's that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Well, once again, open your mind, keep an unbiased look at this. And you may totally disagree, and that's okay. You may think everything about this game was awesome. That's just simply not true, though. But that's your opinion. That is your opinion. But if you look at this unbiased and open-minded, you'll see there are a lot of flaws in this. So, but anyways, though, I really do appreciate you guys coming out. Subscribe to my channel if you are new. All right, make sure you drop a like, show your support. Follow me on Instagram, Tylarious_YT. Follow me on Twitter, TylariousYT. Check out my merch lines I got. They'll be in the description, or links will be in the description down below. Got some cool stuff. Got some good hoodies for the winter coming up. So check that out. But yeah, guys, you know what to do, man. Stay dangerous, all right? We'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Yeah.